I haven't been live here in quite a while. Been actually staying busy, getting one of my properties prepped for my daughter's wedding, and also bought a couple more houses here recently. I see a lot of people talking about, hold off, don't buy, or you should always buy real estate. Always buy real estate. It's always a good time. There's never bad real estate. There's just bad deals. Don't make a bad deal, and you'll do well, and you can always make money. So, hey Josh, hey Russ, glad to see you in here. No audio? Are you kidding me? Son, they're saying we don't have audio. Test. No audio, really? Ryan, we don't have audio. Test. We don't have audio.
It was good in the test video.
Test. They're saying, why don't you go listen to me? All right, we're working on it. Hard to hear me, Chris saying. You know what? Let's see. Test. Is that better? 1, 2. Is that any better? Let me know, guys. Sorry.
Oh, that was better.
Now it's better?
Yeah.
Okay. I think we're good now, right? Okay, good. Sorry. Yeah, I knocked over a bottle here a little while ago of Topo. I think it hit it. Okay, very good. So, it's an election year. You guys saw the debate. You can see, how frail and weak and, I don't know. All of a sudden, you see the people out there, the pundits are all of a sudden turning on their man, and they could have done this 3 years ago. Obviously, we're in big trouble with what we got, and so, anyways, I thought that was surprisingly it was a pretty fair format last night. I was expecting worse. There was a little bit of favoritism, maybe a little bit of stuff going on, but overall, I thought it was great. We got an idea of who's healthy and who's not, who's vibrant and who's not. People on both sides will say, one person was lying over the other, but the bottom line is, you can see. And I don't know if there was a little show Jill helping him off the stage, and it really wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty at all. Very, very weak. It's an election year, and in an election year, there's always so much. There's so much deception, and I'm talking about with the press. They try to make things sound like things are better than they are if they're inside. Of course, in the opposing, try to make things sound worse than they are. But the bottom line is things are going to get rough, and I'm hoping for short sales on retail buildings. And I was going to talk a little bit about this. I'm in LoopNet right now. LoopNet is one of the main places you would go to check out properties for sale across the globe, or particularly in the USA. And so I've been looking, and I just saw a property. Let me see if I can find it. I just saved it earlier. Desktop. Hang on here. What I was going to show you is these 10x auctions, right? When you go in here, I'm always looking at industrial, retail. Those are the main things I like. Industrial, retail. I'll go shopping centers. And pretty much those are my mainstays that I like. But when you get into these auctions, what you'll see is, or what's not obvious right away, you go in to get the view documents, and then you'll sign like an NDA, and you'll share some stuff about yourself. But now take a look here. Starting bid, $900,000. Now, this is great. It's a great starting price, right? like in this one, I mean, it sounds good, but and look at that's 143,000 square feet, all right, and they're going to start at a price that's about $8 a foot. It's not serious. So what you have to watch out for is these starting bids are very misleading in as much as there's a minimum. There's a minimum that's hidden. So you could, the starting bid could be $3 million, and it still isn't enough to buy this. They originally, I would see these things would go in and they would have a starting bid that would be somewhere around 80% of maybe the purchase price that someone would pay. Well, now they're starting at about 20% of what the minimum is. So in other words, you could take a look at this thing and thinking, oh, that's great, 900,000, I'll jump in on this. But you could bid, 10 million, and you still didn't hit the minimum. So I think it brings a lot of attention and people in there that don't need to be in there, that are dreaming about getting something they're not going to get. I think they got to get a lot closer to the minimum bid. So just watch out for that if you're in looking at these things. And I'm always looking. In fact, there was a place, I can't show it to you. I saved it somewhere, but let me see here real quick. I'll show you because it was an interesting one. It was 38,000 square feet, and I was getting all excited because it was $2.1 million. Yeah, here it is. So I'm going to show you guys this. I saved the screenshot. So this is a 38,000 square foot building in beautiful center. It's all the right dimensions. It checks a lot of my boxes for what I want in a retail center. Very good street. A little bit on the outskirts, but not too bad. And it's got this, it's got all these new apartment buildings behind it that are fully occupied, and so it's got some things going for it. It was also, I can't show you because they what it is, it's off the market. But when I went to go bid on this, I signed up to bid on this thing, but then I started talking to some of the agents, and I was trying to understand, and what it was is COVID, the pandemic really burned. One of the businesses went out of business in here, or two businesses went out of business in here, and it really played hard on the landlords. And they went bankrupt, and so they got kind of a deal where they got to seize and hold the assets, and this can happen sometimes. And really you should put that in your lease. Sometimes when you're leasing property, you kind of have an anti-foreclosure clause, or an anti-bankruptcy clause, where if they go bankrupt, you can still just throw everything out on the streets. You just make it clear that you're not going to be tied in. Because I had a guy lose a big building that there was a huge frozen food company, and it was full of freezers, full of food, and they locked the doors on him, and they paid the utilities, but he was stuck. He couldn't do anything. He didn't get rent for 6 months. It was in times like this, and he went belly up. This is in the 80s, right? And we had similar tough times in the 80s as we're going into right now. So, but back to this building, they had $2.1 million was the minimum bid, and I thought, wow, if I can get this thing for $4.5 million, that'd be a deal, right? Just over $100 a foot. Well, no, that's not how it was. The minimum, from what the agent told me, or one of the agents involved, maybe not the broker, but told me that this thing was going to be, had a minimum of like closer to $8 million or $7.8 million. And it took all the fun out of it for me, so I let it go. I can't even show it to you now because in all honesty, I don't even know if anybody bought it or not. It did close as far as the auction closed, but I don't know if anybody actually made the minimum. So anybody want to look at something here, we can go jump around. But, I really like that property for the reasons I described. And, this is a wonderful way to get an education, by the way, is looking at properties, and you'd be surprised, construction costs are the same everywhere, right? For the most part, construction costs are basically the same everywhere. So it doesn't matter if you're in, North Carolina or, downtown Texas or anywhere, anywhere you are in the USA, suburbs, downtown, the material costs are the same. Now, you might get away with, having a metal building as opposed to a concrete tilt-up building. There's some money that can be saved in some areas, but for the most part, everything costs the same. It's one of the reasons, everybody in my class knows the preferred thing is not to build. Don't build. I've built a lot of stuff, and there's a mall for sale right there. And warehouse is keen. Like, here's a warehouse. First thing I'm looking at on this, ceiling height doesn't look particularly high. Doesn't mean it's not a good deal. It just depends on the dollars, right? And we can take a look at this one. Yeah, I watched the debate. I sure did. Josh wrote, have you purchased anything off 10X or LoopNet? Yeah, I have off of LoopNet, but not off of 10X. I've not entered into an auction where I actually bought anything or got anything. Grant Lee wrote something, yes, good, okay, good. Lifeversity, hey, Tom, did you watch? Yeah. So I did. What did you guys think? What did you guys think of the debates? If you want to talk about that, we can talk about that. Of course, it seems like I always get in trouble with YouTube when I talk too much about that sort of thing. But this looks pretty interesting. This is in Arizona, Eloy, Arizona. Don't know where that's at. But I love industrial properties. In fact, I actually just followed up on one just a little while ago. It turns out it's in fact, I got to check my text. See what I mean? See, there's a low ceiling. These are some of the things, I look at, and you guys might want to look at as well. It's nice to have an open span building. When you have low roofs, then you're going to have columns like you see. You're going to have these posts, more of them. And it's not the end of the world. Most people can work around that. But, you can have, and this is one of the fights. In fact, I just scheduled an arbitration on a tax fight that I'll be having. I'm not even going to deal with having tax fights anymore within the confines of the counties anymore. The assessors, in large part, they're not all, but in large part are inept appraisals. They have new people that don't know shit. And then as far as the paid volunteers that you go to have a formal hearing, and some of you probably don't even know what I'm talking about, but they're incompetent. It's like having Joe Biden, take control of a meeting. Pretty pathetic. So. Josh wrote, Eloy is south of Phoenix, tiny town, yeah. Yeah, it's always interesting when you see a warehouse in a tiny town. Now, that makes sense. You'll see them in areas, usually it's produce, in my opinion. Usually what I've seen is, you'll see a big agricultural area. You'll see, like, in fact, this kind of look here, right there, right? This would be indicative of, looks like a co-op there, maybe a grain co-op. I'm not sure, but there's a lot of apartments, and some retail, but that's a Rite Aid. I don't know. But the bottom line is, when you get in an election year, and like anybody, you got an area you want to look at, tell me where you want to go. We'll take a look at it. For now, let's just take a look at Dallas, Texas, for the hell of it. Oops. And you can see there's a ton of stuff for sale here. Here's an 18,000 square foot industrial building. Now, something like this is interesting, especially if all that land surrounding it comes with it. Alberto wrote, "Hey Tom, what are your thoughts on the petrodollar? Should we as American be worried?" Is that what you said? I don't have my readers on here, but what's that say, son? Hang on. Oh, the petrodollar. Yeah, I'm not even sure exactly what you mean by that, Alberto. But as far as, listen, if you get Trump, it's drill, baby, drill. It's let's pull the oil out from under our feet. Which, in all honesty, I really think it would be great for our economy if we did have Trump. And the reason I say that is because we have 4 years to look at that we had prior to the last 4 years, and everybody I think should ask themselves, are you better off now than you were then? Obviously, it's not good now. It's terrible. Everything's very, very expensive, and I do think the ridiculous amount of stimulus that went out the door is what caused it. Was causing inflation. Did you ever try to flip a QSR building like a Burger King that closed? So, Josh, are you referring to what they call like a ghosted building? Like, in other words, or they'll call it a dark building. You can have a Burger King that's empty, there's 5 years left on the lease, they're still paying the rent, and you get paid for just sitting there renting out an empty building. I've seen some of those sales up. I don't love it. I don't like it. I don't like ghost buildings or dark buildings, whatever you want to call them. Dark meaning lights are out, right? I don't, because it's just pretty strange that a property it's cheaper to pay the rent and keep it closed than to keep it open. I mean, somebody misjudged, or something terrible's happened in the area. And, in those areas where there's a heavy, illegal aliens that have come over in the last couple of years, they do have some of those problems. And, I can tell you, I'm downtown Austin, which is kind of a cool, fun place to be. I've been in a Whataburger down there at 2 a.m, and, gone inside it, and there was 2 bums inside that had shit themselves, and the place smelled like an outhouse. And there was a policeman that they pay by the hour just to sit in there. He's off work, making some extra money, and he's asleep. 2 guys that shit their pants in there. And then the cop finally, he wakes up, and then, he gets a whiff, and he goes over and says, and he gets him out. But it's just horrible for a business to have to put up with that kind of crap. It really is a mess. I don't like the homeless on the streets. I don't like them under the bridge. I've spent money, I've supported the efforts to change that sort of thing. A petition paid to get things petitioned, to help the petitions go to reverse it, and we've had success in Austin in doing that. And I remember somebody says he said something about the homeless, and I said, he goes, "You just don't want them around." I go, "No, I don't want them around." I was really angry, too, because I don't want them around. I go, "They don't belong under the bridges. They don't belong in the streets. They don't belong, soliciting people for a cigarette or $1. It's a nightmare." So back to Josh here. He says, no, he doesn't mean dark or ghosted buildings, but buying a vacant building to sign a new tenant with a ground lease and flip the paper. Well, I always think that's good. No, I think that's a great thing, Josh. But when you're talking about a Burger King or something like that, you have to wonder why it didn't make it, right? If it's going to be another restaurant, you got to ask yourself those questions and see if you can figure it out. Alberto wrote, Saudi Arabia ended the deal of exclusively on using U.S. dollars to sell oil. Now other countries like Russia and China can use their currency and not the U.S. dollars. Yeah, Alberto, that's out of my, that's out of my, not just out of my expertise, it's out of my interest. Look, I'm a real estate investor, number one. I don't buy stocks. My stock is on my shelves, or if you want to call my real estate my stock. It surrounds me. It's my property. I am number one a real estate investor, and that's what I know. That's what I've made the most money at, and it's where my interests lie. So I don't really concern myself with gas that much. I know some people that are, if you're living closer to being a check-to-check person, you are very much aware of what gas costs to put in your tank, and I'm sensitive to that because I used to be, that guy that that was on a thinner margin, and I could feel the cost of gas, and that's when gas was really cheap. I'm talking about 30, 40 years ago, but now it's just kind of a pain in the ass to fill the tank too often. So, but I'm sensitive to it. But I just believe that we pull the oil out of the ground that we're sitting in. There's no way. Listen, we have the biggest oil reserve, I think, in the country. I mean, the whole U.S. and the world, possibly, right underneath our feet. And it does not make sense for us to take oil from other countries, buy their oil, especially buying oil from countries that dislike us, that terrorize us, and that it doesn't make any sense. I mean, it doesn't matter if you intend to have everything be green and everything run on electricity. Even then, it would only still make sense that you pull the oil out from under the ground that you're standing on. If you're going to eventually stop using oil, which is a fantasy in my opinion, but if you think you're going to end up stop using oil altogether, then it certainly makes sense to pull the oil from the ground where where the profit stays within the country of where the oil's coming from. It's just like a huge problem we have right now is I have so many illegals, and believe me, I employ a lot of aliens. I employ a bunch of them. I do, and the thing is most of them, I can tell you, great hardworking people, talented, and they're not picking berries for me for peanuts. They're not doing anything for me for peanuts. I only hire talent. I only hire people. I don't look for the cheapest. I look for the best. I look for the people that can get it done and move and get it done the fastest. And there's a lot of illegal aliens out there that really know their shit and work hard, whether it's tile, drywall, painting, they're all over the place. And, and I just look for the best. And I've had many, many, many years of doing business with people from Mexico and now from Honduras and from Salvador and Venezuela. It's all over the place now. Hey, Liam, good to see you here. Actually, me and my son may be taking a ride out your way, Liam. We may go fly out there and visit you and Herb and Almas. Liam's in the class here. He's a rock star. Curious about your house. Is the last house, any bites on that? Liam here is one of my students that made a couple $100,000 first dealer, and then made another 350 on another deal, and he's got a deal right now where he's probably going to make at least that much or more. So always a pleasure to see Liam in here, Russ as well. So many bright people in the class, which by the way, listen, I better get to this. So listen, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Little late asking for that, but go to flipanythingusa.com. You can apply for mentorship right here. But certainly get my book. You can get my book on Amazon. You can get it in paperback or Kindle or Audible. And it'd be the best $10-20 you ever spent. That I promise you. But anyways, so yeah, no bites yet. No offers. So Liam actually has a house on the market. I'm thinking chapter 24. I'm starting to think leapfrogging. And so I'll show you. I have a house that I just got 30 days notice on. And this is from a tenant that he already pays me $27,000 a month for a building. And then he pays me another $2,000 a month for this house. And he gave me notice today. And so I thought, you know what? This is probably a good time. Maybe I'll just get rid of that. Now, I bought 3 houses all around this house, actually. Just in the last 3 months, I bought 3, and I bought 4 or 5 in the last 6 months. But this house, there's almost $500,000 there, and in other words, I don't have any tax. I don't have to worry about deferring any taxes. So this one makes sense because I can sell it, and all that cash is mine. There will be some gains, but not that significant on this one. So and having $500,000, extra dollars when things are kind of going down the tubes is a good idea. So I'm probably going to throw that one on the market. And I'll be talking about that in class tomorrow, which I'll see you guys in class. Those of you have a mentorship that includes the initial mentorship, but also we meet and talk every Saturday. Really, really fantastic group of smart people. And in fact, this is the page here. Might as well get to it real quick. If you go to Flip Anything USA, and you can see the success. People making millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. People that weren't in real estate but were genuinely interested. It just takes a little bit of guidance, and then now they're rolling. They're rolling on their way and making a lot of money, and it's a beautiful thing. So urge you to watch these testimonials, watch these interviews. This gentleman here made $250,000 or $240,000, I think, within the first 10 months. Others have made more, millions even. Josh is in here. Josh is about right there in the $1 Million Club, right, with land. He just wrote, I was in the second mentorship class, well worth the investment. I disappeared to focus on land and have done really, really well. Miss the Zooms. You can always come back, Josh. But that's the thing. You got family and that sort of thing. Saturdays we have a lot of meetings. There's people that have kids and things, and they go back and they just watch the meetings after the fact, and that's always a good way to keep up. But it's a good group, and I you know what? If I ever miss a Saturday, and it's not very often that I do, but I like kind of miss it. It's like I got to do this. I want to make up for it. But it's a beautiful thing, and like I say, I've got friends now all over the country that I've made that have jumped in the class, took the course, and are happily making money, and are about to, some of the newer guys and gals. But so I don't know. What do you guys think out there? Are you concerned, Josh? I know things got a little bit tired out there, a little bit slow, a little bit. The margins get a little thinner, and that can be scary. If you can't let the margins get too thin, because that's what happens before they go away completely, is they get thin. So, we're here to make money. You shouldn't do anything unless it feels like Christmas. It's a term I like to use. It's one that Ron mentioned actually last week. If you guys didn't see it, you should check out Ron. Ron's one of my students that has made over $4 million now in equity. He started out, he's got about $5.5 million in real estate. No money out of his own pocket. He's actually put money in his pocket, plus he owns that much with only $1.5 million debt. So it's really, really cool. Land is still okay, just sending out more mail, add cold calling. Yep. Well, we won't give out too much here, Josh, but good. Blue skies ahead, Liam. Yeah. The term blue sky usually means let somebody else imagine how easy things are, or how much money there is to be made. And that actually is not people. I don't like to discourage people, and you shouldn't. But a lot of times, you just kind of, like whether it's a piece of land or a building or a house you're selling, you kind of show them, let them see what it is, and then they can project themselves living in it, the blue sky, so to speak, and maybe the monies they're going to make. But hey, listen, guys, I'm going to wrap up and go here. Appreciate everyone, and we'll talk here soon. See you guys in the meeting tomorrow.
And listen, time is on a mission to eliminate all the snake oil and the fake gurus that fake y'all. He'll show you how to build an empire, starting with nothing but a desire. All you really need is a good mentor, not a used car bullshit. With time, you'll learn to crush it. Investing like Warren Buffett. With real estate, you cannot procrastinate. Everyone who hesitates is left at the starting gate. Hey, yo, so don't delay and join today. The mentorship and flip anything. USA, go.